Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini-games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Go for a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a co-founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. During her journey, Isla meets new friends, including King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table, and learns valuable life lessons with every quest, sword fight, and dragon ride. Positive and uplifting stories remind us all about the importance of kindness, friendship, honesty, and positivity. Join me and an all-star cast of actors including Liam Neeson, Emily Blunt, Kristen Bell, Chris Hemsworth, among many others, in welcoming the Search for the Silver Lining podcast to the Go Kid Go network by listening today. Look for the Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's hang out. Let's hang out. And let's talk about what lesbians are about. Let's hang out. And let's listen to two lesbians shout. Let's hang out. Let's hang out.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Hang Out, the podcast where I need a hero. I'm holding out for a hero till the morning light. She's gotta be strong and she's gotta be fast and she's gotta for sure be a dyke. I need a hero.
She does gotta for sure be a dyke. Let's be real.
She's gotta for sure be. Listen.
Let's be real. Yes.
From the West Coast, I'm Leigh Holmes Foster.
And from the East Coast, I'm Ellie Brigida. To those of you who have been with us through this whole journey, thank you as always for listening. If you're a new listener, welcome. We're excited to have you here. Here's what's happening this week.
This week in the Lesdom.
This week in the Lesdom is a place where we can touch base each episode about things going on with the podcast or otherwise. We are so excited about our trip to Croatia next September. We have 5 spots left on that trip, so if you want to sign up, you can do that at bit.ly/LesDoCroatia.
We also want to remind everyone that in season 6, we have started releasing bonus episodes for our Patreon supporters. You get those at any level of Patreon support. Our last one that came out a couple weeks back was on Everything Everywhere All at Once. And our newest one coming out today is on Fire Island. We had so many thoughts about this movie. You're going to want to check it out. If you want to join our Patreon to get access to all of those episodes, this was our 7th, I think, bonus Patreon episode. You can find that at bit.ly/LesPatreon.
We were nominated for a Queer Tea Award. Voting is over, but we will find out tomorrow if we have won an award or not. So we will let you know. I'll be on the
Incredible.
red carpet. Can't wait.
Fingers crossed.
I miss Leigh, but I will be going to the red carpet, so I will keep you all updated.
I
on our
am
socials.
Extremely jealous and
I'm very
upset
sad
about the whole thing.
I'm very sad. I was really looking forward to like matching suits, you know.
Listen,
like, really. The next time we're together in person,
someone invite us to another red carpet.
Please.
Okay, that's all.
Please.
Please. Okay. Also, we want to make sure everyone knows our next trivia event is going to be coming up on March 26th. It is going to be Yellow Jackets premiere trivia. So we are going to be leading up to the season 2 Yellow Jackets premiere on the night of the 26th with trivia on season 1 of Yellow Jackets. So March 26th, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. We are so excited.
In the Greater Les universe, there is a new study that came out that said there's a surprisingly large amount of LGBTQ plus people in the United States. I'm not surprised. Are you, Leigh?
I am 0% surprised.
0%.
I just did a poll of myself and my surprise level was 0%.
7.2% of the population identify as LGBTQ plus. We love a mouthful of an LGBTQ acronym. And most of that 7.2% is listening to the show right now. So hi, everyone.
Hey.
We love you.
Also in the Greater Les universe, we want to give a shout out to Rebel Wilson, just got engaged.
I also am going to say, like, girl move gay fast.
Yes, very fast.
Came
I was just gonna
out
say, like, when did she come out officially?
Like, this is such a gay story. Like, she
Hold
like
on,
came out.
I need to know.
This is the first woman I think she's ever been with, and she was just like, I'm in love, and like got engaged and blah blah blah. So it's a very gay story in our real life.
She came out in like June of last year.
Oh yeah, I told you, it's fast.
Yeah,
It's
super
a very fast gay timeline.
We
We're
have
here for
nothing
it.
but respect. Love it.
Rebel did it right. Also, I saw that Rachel Weisz is going to be playing a lesbian gynecologist, which, like, dreams come true for all of us.
Has anyone
Yes.
checked in on Lauren Flans? Is she okay?
Is she okay? Are you okay, Lauren? Send us a message. Blink twice if you're okay, Lauren. That's what's happening this week. Back to you, Ellie and Leigh.
Thanks, Ellie and Leigh. We are so excited to bring you episode 14 of season 6, Dyke in Shining Armor.
I am very excited for this episode because we have actually had this on our list of things we needed to talk about since our first season.
Yeah, from even before our first season
We were
started.
like, we
this
need
is
to
from
talk
our
about this.
our very first list of ideas, right?
Mhm. I mean, maybe let's say, like, what is a Dyke in Shining Armor? To you, Leigh, what is your definition of a Dyke in Shining Armor?
It's a knight in shining armor,
But a lesbian.
Who is that? Is that sorry?
That's
was
good.
that not?
That's good.
Clear?
It should be clear. Yeah, yeah.
Was that clear?
Well, to me,
I
it's
thought...
like to me.
No, tell me what you mean. Yeah, I know. Give me the example. What are you going for here?
Like, to me, it's like
she a dyke.
Yes. To me, it's just like a queer woman. I feel like not only saves other women, but like feels like it is her only purpose in life to save people.
Okay,
and women,
fair.
Right? That's like,
Yeah.
to me, the Dyke in Shining Armor. I mean, also from the other side of it, because we're going to talk about some media Dykes in Shining Armor. I think there's that other side of like, are you a woman who's listening to the show who's like, all I want is a like hefty dyke to come save me and like fix my furniture and like sweep me away. You know, like, I think there's like, you sort of have both sides of it when you talk about a Dyke in Shining Armor. Like, there's the dyke who saves, and then there's the lesbian who is saved.
The lesbian in a tower,
Right?
brushing her hair.
Yeah, there's like the Rapunzel in the Dyke in Shining Armor.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess I see what you're going for more. You're like, what does a dyke in shining armor mean to me? Right?
Yes.
What does a dyke in shining armor mean to me? I guess. Boy, if somebody wanted to sponsor us for saying dyke this episode, this is gonna be great. There is something in the like the quintessential hero, right? Like, you're chivalrous, you're selfless, you're like, you put others before yourself. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I
And
see
also have a sword, you know.
Yeah. Sometimes
Your
have a
standard your standard stuff.
sword, gun, rope,
Sure.
you know, whatever
Yeah.
whatever they've got.
This is like a game of Clue.
Yeah. Where was the
Oh my
dyke when
god.
she
Can
saved?
can we make like a special Clue like Dyke in Shining Armor edition,
We should.
right?
Yes.
Right?
We
And you can
definitely
have
should.
all the different weapons they might have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what famous media lesbian wields a candlestick? We got to figure this out.
I feel like a candlestick would be someone from Portrait of a Lady on Fire. You know, you would
that's
need like an
true.
old school gay to be with a candlestick.
We can listen. We could
work
make
it
this
through.
work.
We can work through it.
We
Yeah,
could
yeah.
do
We
this.
can
I'm
work
gonna
through it.
look up all the Clue things because I'm forgetting them all.
Well, I'm like,
already.
we are going to talk about Bound
There's
today,
a knife.
so I'm like,
there's
there's
no sword, so we'd have to replace the
wait,
knife with a sword.
Isn't the woman from Bound, her name's Corky?
Yeah.
So Corky would be the rope,
Okay.
right? Yeah, the candlestick is one of the women from Portrait of a Lady on Fire. The gun is Nicole Haught.
Sure. Sword can be Xena.
Sword
know.
Xena.
We've got a wrench. Oh, Corky should be the wrench. Actually.
Corky should for sure be the wrench.
Corky should definitely be the wrench. And then what else? The gun, the rope, the pipe.
See, this is just a definitive reason why Clue needs to be gay, because what? It's just a bunch of queer plumbers.
Yes.
Right?
I love it.
what's her name? The carpenter from the L Word could be one of them.
Yeah.
With the wrench, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's limitless possibilities here.
Okay.
Limitless.
I
But
like it.
Yes. Let's discuss after we figure out this clue board. Why do you think Dykes in Shining Armor is such a trope?
Well, so here's what I think is interesting about this is like we have had this on our list for so long. Like we've been keeping this excellent pun in our back pocket for 6 years now, right? And it's interesting because I feel like part of the reason that we haven't sat down and done an episode on it is that we talk about this a lot, right? Like we have so many episodes where this idea has come up where we've kind of like touched on it here and there. And it's such a fascinating thing to me because it feels like it is really common, right? Like I feel like this idea, this archetype of a queer character is very common. And sometimes I also feel like it is elusive in certain ways. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's weird when I sit down because I'm like, I feel like there's a lot of them. And then also when you sit down to try to make a list, I'm like, or am I just like imagining it?
But okay, here's my thing. I think this is such a trope because I think queers are like this in real life. Like, it's multi-layered, right? Leigh, I feel like you are like this.
I for sure am.
You are a Dyke in Shining Armor. And that is okay. But like, I feel like even in a way, so like when you think about it on screen, right? Like when we talk about this, like if you talk about Xena, right? That's like literally a full-on Dyke saving people like with a sword, right? That's like on the nose, like this is a Dyke in Shining Armor. But I feel like this trope exists because, number one, I think like relationships in general, even if they're not queer, there's like one person who tends to be the like protector and another one who's like the protected. And that's a gross generalization that I know is very heteronormative. But I don't know, like I think it can change. Like I think people can switch off. But I do think when you care about someone, you want to save them, quote unquote. Yeah. When you care about someone and they're in a precarious situation, you want to be the person to save them. You're not going to be like, oh, let that other person save them. Like you are like, I'm going to. Even if it's an emotional save, even if it's an emotional save, you know, possibly murdered by the mafia, like, yeah, you just want to step in. Yeah, you just want to step in and kidnap them. Like, that's it. Yeah. You know, like, but I just feel like it's a human desire to like protect someone you love.
Here's where I think the issue is for me with this. And I'm not saying I have an answer because I don't think I've ever I don't know that I have a conclusion here yet. I feel like that's what we're gonna come to a conclusion.
We're gonna talk about it
over the course of this episode. We're gonna do it together, Ellie.
Yes, let's do it.
I need like a thermometer that reads like heteronormativity, and I need to know where this lands on it. Because the thing that I think is hard is I feel like, especially when you get into the more like millennial and up queers, I feel like the idea of the knight in shining armor who comes in and saves the fair princess, like we just talked about, like that's
outdated. Yes,
the patriarchy in a nutshell, right? Like that's it. That is problematic. And what is hard sometimes is how do you have one of those things without the other, right? Because how do you allow the empowering stance on womanhood and femininity that allows for the Dyke in Shining Armor without scrapping the completely dismissive and belittling stance of those things that is the maiden who needs to be rescued, right?
Yes, but to like, I also think like some media has done a better job of this.
It has. At
making it less black and white. But I also do feel like there are dynamics that exist in this world where there is a butch lesbian who is with a very femme lesbian who likes the fact that her butch lover takes care of her. And
But
I
it
also think that's okay.
You don't have to
Do you know
be
what I mean?
butch. Like,
or
that's
even if
the
they're not
other
butch.
thing.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But like, that's why I said like the dynamics of that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. No, I get it. I get what you mean.
But that is like sort of a heteronormative relationship within a queer community.
Yes. And I also think it's possible to have the Dyke In Shining Armor exist completely outside of that dynamic. And that's why I want to talk about it, because I feel like it's interesting. I feel like we will sort of structure our conversation around examples of this in the media, but I do think what we're discussing is like, this is a real thing. Like, this exists. This is out there. Like, there are like they walk among us. They're
These dykes in shining armor. If you're
dykes
out
are
there,
real.
If you're out there, let us know.
Let us know.
If you are, if you know how they say like femme for femme or like butch for butch or whatever. It's like if you're a dyke for dyke.
Right?
If you are
I need,
two dykes in shining armor that are together, like honestly great, save each other. Like I don't think
are you a
has
DSA searching for DSA?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think it has to exist. You're right. I don't think it has to exist on like, this is the knight and this is the princess. There are so many. But I also think that's what's fucking awesome about queer relationships is like, because one day you could be the knight and the next day you could be the princess if you fucking want.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and that's okay. I just think it's cool. That's all. But yes.
It is cool. Although my question is, if you have two dykes in shining armor dating each other, whose cape goes over the puddle on the ground? Like, do you fight?
They
do you
hold
layer
them together. Yeah, they hold them together.
Yeah.
They each hold
You
one
take
side.
turns.
Yeah, they take turns.
You can walk over two whole
Yes.
puddles, okay?
Well, there's also like a chivalry of it, right? Like, I don't know, like of like a, as much as we want to like fight against some of these like patriarchal things, it's also like, okay, so like there are also lesbians who like want to be a gentleman.
Yeah.
Right? And like gentleman is a gendered word, but there's like, right? There are queer women who like want to hold the door, who want to put their cape on the puddle. Like, and so like, yeah, like that's, I think that's like the best real life, I feel like, version of it that we can talk about. But let's talk about some media examples, because it's like, I think it will help sort our conversation.
So I was trying to think of some older examples for us, like classic, who are like the OGs, right? Like the OG DSAs out there.
I
we
like
mentioned
that you've
already.
shortened it to DSA.
I'm gonna make it happen. Listen, this is gonna be a thing. I think my OG for me is Xena, obviously, as we said. Like, how do you? I mean, come on, she's flipping all over the place, left and right. She's got a sword. She's got a chakram. She's got a horse. She's
a DSA.
She's a
That's it.
warrior
She
princess.
is a warrior. Yes.
Right? Like,
yes.
It leaves very little.
Yeah, I'm like, not
to
necessarily
question.
shining armor.
Yeah.
But like, she's definitely wearing some sort of armor. Little skimpy armor.
Well,
We got the armor.
A little leather skirt armor,
Yeah,
but you know,
a
we
little
got
leather
something
armor.
going on. Yeah, she does take pristine care of it though, so you know, I bet that is like spit shine, that leather. You can see your face in that.
I still have not watched Xena. I'm so sorry.
Ellie.
As we're talking about this, I really feel like that has to be my next rewatch.
Oh my God.
Complete watch. Because I just feel like we got to do it for Les Centrals at some point. So
I
guess we've done a
like
should have been gay on it.
we've done a should have been gay on it. I know.
But also,
I
like,
feel like
maybe
when you go back and rewatch Xena, I feel like I should go back and rewatch Xena because I haven't. To be fair, I haven't watched it in years. Last time I watched it through, I was in grad school. I think it was like my first year of grad school, and I watched it in grad school. I hadn't watched it since I was like a kid I used to watch it when like they were airing when I was young. And I had forgotten how absolutely bonkers crazy some of that show is, and especially like how off the rails it got at the end. It is wild, and I don't feel like you're ready for it. So I mean,
it's like probably like when I did my Buffy watch, and I was just like, I don't really like. I know it's a good show, but I don't really know what I'm getting into. And then I was like, what is happening? But I love it.
Yeah,
but
it's not as good as Buffy. People are gonna come after me for saying that.
God,
it's not
yeah,
as good of like. It's fun. It's so much fun to watch. I don't think it's as
it takes itself less seriously.
Yes, I think that's that's a better way to say it.
Yeah,
I think it takes itself less seriously than Buffy does. It's campier than Buffy is, but it's fun and it's crazy.
So in Xena, because I haven't seen it, there is obviously the Xena and Gabrielle dynamic. Do you feel like that's like DSA?
They're both DSAs. They're DSA for
so
DSA.
You feel like
all up
this
in this
is DSA
bitch.
for
Come on.
DSA. Was there ever a time in the series where you felt like Gabrielle was princess?
Yeah, she starts out very...
And then it like sort of evolved, right?
Well, she starts out a little like naive. She's a little, she's got these sparkly eyes and a heart that believes in the good in the world, and she gets a little like battle hardened over time. So it's like I don't think she starts out less chivalrous. She doesn't start out less willing to step in and save others or willing to put herself on the line to save others. She just starts out a little less, hardened, I guess.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting because I would say they are both Dykes in Shining Armor, but I think they have very different vibes, like very different
we all do in the queer
styles.
community. No two Dykes in Shining Armor are quite alike.
No, none are the same. Well, no, because Xena's very like gruff, like she's kind of over it. She's cold. She's colder in a way. Like she'll still save people, but she'll kind of like save them and then be like, okay, and like just ride off, and be like, I don't need your thanks.
Yes.
Like maybe stop being attacked and just like ride away. And like Gabrielle is less of that. Like, Gabrielle will be like, let me stay and make sure you're okay and learn your life story and like bake you some food, I don't know.
I mean, honestly, it sounds like a power couple to me.
They are. They're great.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but okay, so what
OGs.
do you find like from that OG thing? How does that inform your Dykes in Shining Armor?
I think it's always interesting to me that so many of the stories that are out there that are all about like empowering female characters, right? Because like that's what Xena was like billed as, right? Xena wasn't billed as a dyke. She
Even
was,
though
but
she
the tagline was not that. And so I always think it's funny that like a huge amount of these like empowering female characters, right? Like not the Dyke in Shining Armor part necessarily, but like the same with like Katniss and like all this stuff. Like a huge part of that type of a character is this idea that like you don't need a man to save you. You can save yourself. And there's just something about that like is gay.
Yes.
Like it's why so many times when people are like, this is just a strong female character, like on Our Should Have Been Gays, and we're like, yeah, which it to be fair is a little gay.
Yeah.
It's a bit gay, honestly.
Well, that's what I'm saying too, is like, okay, so you have like you have a strong female character who can save themselves but also saves other women. Right? So it's like, so you have this thing where you've sort of replaced the man with this DSA. Yeah.
Well, and that's
in the media landscape, like in the stories that we have been telling, like Xena in the past would just have been like, I don't know, Hercules. Like, isn't Hercules like similarly timed, that show?
Yes. Yeah. They aired like simultaneously. Yeah. She was a spinoff of Hercules.
Yeah.
And here's where I think it gets interesting to me, because Xena, as we know, canonically, like really should have been gay, like was intended to be gay, couldn't be made gay with, like what would get approved on air. I'm curious to know, like when they started the show, was that the intention, or was it just that you made this character who then obviously was so gay? Because
I think that's probably it.
I mean, it makes sense to me, but it also is so funny to me if that's the case, that you would be like, let's write a strong female, oops, that clearly is gay.
Yeah.
Like, it's so unavoidable in some ways that it's funny to me that it's still so, like, people miss it still so often. Do you know what I mean? That you still get so many characters who are written to just be, I'm this strong woman, and they don't seem to see how gay they've made them by being like, I don't need or want a man.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so definition, you are gay. You don't want men, and you surround yourself with women, and you like try to put yourself in you put yourself constantly in situations where like you are saving the damsel in distress. Like, you're gay.
Well, and where you run into this big problem where I think a lot of media still does not know how to write a dynamic in a heteronormative relationship with a character like that. Like with
that is
well,
so,
just with
any sort of strong woman.
Yes.
That is so accurate, because I mean I literally was just thinking, I was like, wait, why are they only saving women? I'm like, because I feel like we can't, like, okay, if Xena saved a man, right? I don't know if she did and whatever, but like, say she saved a man, then like you've emasculated that man, and like we as a society can't handle that. And if you emasculate the man, quote unquote, then he must be gay. So how are you going to have him be with Xena? Right? Like, it just, like, completely... I would actually love to see a freaking straight woman in Shining Armor save a straight man, damsel in distress, and, like, get that. Like, that would turn some shit around. I'm here for that.
You know what? You know what I'll say is maybe one of the few times where I think they managed to pull something close off is The Mummy. I'm going to say
oh my God,
The Mummy,
yes, I fucking love
bisexual
The Mummy.
awakening everywhere.
Yes.
I think The Mummy's probably the closest that you can come. I think he manages to be rescued well, right?
Yes.
But it's hard when you still have to then go for the like, and he is dipping her down in a big sensual kiss. Like, it's so hard to shy away from, even if you try to write a character who is like that, who is strong, who is powerful, who is saving people, from the need to still make her be the romantic heroine princess.
Yeah.
Right? It's almost unavoidable. So that's where I think we land for me with Xena is... It's why I don't think there was a convincing male romantic interest for Xena. They kind of did for Gabrielle, but Gabrielle, I think, again, always started out a little less on that front for me. But I think Xena is a really interesting place to start, to then examine, like, where do you start to see these other types of characters being written, and especially where do you start to see them as they start explicitly making them gay. Because it opens so many doors.
I will say, people are going to come for us about Xena because they still, like, on TikTok, they're like, Xena is gay. And it's like, okay, yes, but like, we're gonna talk about Debs, which is like, Debs is a lot gayer than Xena. Debs is like explicitly, like you said, explicitly gay. We are talking about fucking gay spies, gay evil villains. And so you think that Lucy Diamond and, oh my God, what's her name?
Yeah, Amy.
Okay, so both of them I think are Dykes in Shining Armor, no?
Well, can we call someone a Dyke in Shining Armor when they're
a villain?
Does morality factor into the DSA archetype?
I mean, that's a good question. I think you can still call a villain a DSA because
if she rescues the girl.
Yeah, because do you not think that Lucy Diamond rescued Amy from heteronormativity?
Did she not rescue her from her stupid boyfriend?
Did she not rescue her from her stupid boyfriend? Yes, she quote
did.
Unquote kidnapped. She didn't really kidnap her, right? She left of her own accord, and I think in a way she saved her from her own life. That's why, like, I find if we look at Dykes in Shining Armor in a more like generally saving people way, you'll see that most queers are Dykes in Shining Armor in some way. Does that make sense? Like, it's like you don't have to like physically have saved someone from death to save them. That's dramatic, but you know what I mean? Save.
You save them in like a Jesus sense.
Yeah.
Like a Haley Kiyoko lesbian Jesus kind of saving. Sure.
Saved.
Lucy Diamond there on the beach. It was there that I carried you kind of saving.
Exactly,
okay, fine.
Exactly. You probably wrote this saying Amy's a Dyke in Shining Armor.
I was thinking Amy when I wrote it. Yeah.
But to me, Lucy is my Dyke in Shining Armor.
Is that just because you want to be saved by Lucy Diamond? Yes, that's because I want to be
saved by Lucy Diamond. But okay. I do think that morality.
But do you also want to be saved by Amy? Because you've got to think for blondes, Ellie. It's not...
Yes, I could be saved by either of them, honestly. Both of them at the same time. I'd be very happy.
Great.
We can do this.
Great.
But so what do you think is different between Xena and Debs? Like, when you see this evolution?
Okay, let's talk about the evolution. I guess what's interesting is that They're very similar, actually.
Mm-hmm.
They're very similar. Lucy is a little bit more morally in a gray area than I think Xena is for a lot of this series. But I think in the context, especially when you compare Amy and Gabrielle, right, you get a lot of similar things of they're both heroes, they're both heroic, they're both morally extremely good people in terms of their character. They're both willing to go out and put their lives on the line. They're both a little naive of the world, right?
Yep.
They're both a little about to become a whole heck of a lot gayer.
Gayer, yeah. As gay as they possibly can.
Sure. And I feel like Xena and Lucy, you could draw a lot of parallels there between the, like, I'm more battle hardened and I have, you know, lost
lots
a
of
lot
lesbian
of the...
exes.
We give
get
us
it.
Xena's Russian ex. This is what we want. Yeah, I feel like in the sense of they're a little, they're grittier, you know, of characters. Is that how we can describe Lucy Diamond? She's so campy, but I'm gonna go with it. I'm rolling with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, now I feel like you're selling me on it's Lucy. I don't know.
It's Lucy. She saved her. And she saves her again at the end.
She does.
Also, like...
And she knows how to, like, wield a gun, you know?
Yeah, she has all the skills that a Dyke In Shining Armor needs.
Yeah.
But another thing I sort of want to talk about, because I'm feeling it happen to me, is, like, how do you feel when you are watching a Dyke In Shining Armor trope? Because I'm like, oh, she saved her. Like, I love it. I eat that shit up. I'm like, please show me some lesbians saving each other. You know what I mean? Like, as a trope, I'm obsessed with it.
Here's the thing. I think way too much of me is shaped by having watched too many Disney movies where the prince comes in and saves the day, and not super understanding, as we talked about when we watched JoJo Siwa Dancing with the Stars.
All right, here we go.
Not super understanding why I didn't quite want to be the princess in that scenario. And so to me, there's just always something incredibly validating about a Dyke In Shining Armor. Always. Just always.
You wanted to be the prince, is what you're saying.
100,000%. Yes. And so there's something about that portrayal, and that portrayal over time more and more frequently becoming gayer and gayer, that I'm just like,
here for.
Eat that shit up,
Yeah.
man. Just spoon it to me endlessly. I'm happy.
Yes. I think I'm more here for the villain turned in. Like, that's the thing too, while I'm talking about Lucy Diamond. I don't know what it is. I'm into the villain turning into the savior.
I have a theory for you, Ellie. Let's psychoanalyze each other.
Oh God,
episode.
let's go.
Okay. We're therapizing here.
Here
okay?
we go.
I have a theory because here's what just popped into my head as we were talking about Lucy Diamond. And I was like, why was that not my immediate inclination? Because I think I'm getting caught up in the moral aspect of it. And I think what you're latching onto more immediately, especially with Lucy and Debs, is the idea of somebody who will protect their person against anything.
Yes.
Right? Like,
no
Lucy might want to rob the world and vaporize Australia, but she will not let a single hair on Amy's head be harmed, right?
Yes.
I feel like that's what that to you is the immediate, like, yeah, a hero.
Yes. Because she's gonna save her person, yes.
Right.
And I don't care what else she does.
You're like, take out whoever's in your way. I don't care what they did, baby girl. You go for it.
You, like, I'm fine with it as long as, like, you're gonna save me.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, and maybe that factors in a little bit to, and this is why it's occurring to me as we roll into what I think is our other sort of OG example of this, which is Bound, right? Because similar.
Which definitely.
I would not argue that either of them are great
pious
people. Yeah. Not.
This is not The Sound of Music.
No, not going to win any church awards here, but the protection of your person element is strong. High marks, A+ marks on do what you gotta do at whatever cost to protect your person. Yes. So maybe that's what we're refining our definition of a Dyke In Shining Armor closer to now, right?
And that's, I think, what I was asking at the beginning. Like, that's how I see it, is like, it's more specific, like, which is like also like the Dyke portion of it, I think, too, because like you could be a knight, but like, who are you saving?
Right. Ooh.
But you know what I'm saying.
I like that.
Like, but I think like, okay, so bound, morally ambiguous, but they're saving each other. Let's talk a little bit about Nicole Haught.
Okay. Because
or did you want to talk more about Bound? Because
I don't. I actually want to say, because what I think is interesting is most of the, so we also made a list of like kind of more recent examples of this, and there's a lot more of them. I mean, I just threw a couple exampls down quickly, but I think there's probably more even than we wrote down here. And the one that I want to highlight quickly is actually the only one that jumps out at me super clearly for that dynamic of morally, where do you land as a person, but the protecting
She-Ra?
of the person that you care about. I was actually going to say the handmaiden, because we just talked about that with Suki being, you know, that kind of, she rides in on her white fucking horse to be like, let me destroy all of these books and take you away from here and save you. And Hideko absolutely responds in that,
yes. My
hero.
Suki, my hero.
My Suki.
But also, Hideko is not helpless.
No, not at all.
Right? So it's like, it is like, that's why I like the dynamic where it feels fluid.
Yeah.
Suki at certain points saves Hideko, but Hideko also like poisons a man to get away from him to leave and be with Suki. You know, so like, it's like, you know, they're both doing what they gotta do.
Yeah. On the She-Ra front, I do see where you're going for.
If you're talking about morally ambiguous, like Catra, but also like we've already talked about that in Essential. It's like
Catra's like nobody on the planet can hurt you but me.
Yes, exactly. It's the opposite. Yeah, I'm the only one who will completely destroy you. But it's okay. It's okay. But I want to talk about Nicole Haught because I think Nicole Haught and Wynonna Earp is an example of like, this is like a good person who saves people in general.
Yeah.
Right? So like, but when she saves Waverly, it's different.
Yeah. Oh, God. Those two. Listen.
I know. Love them. But I also feel like Waverly had such a like good transition from being a little bit more damsel-y into
she
like
did, but it's still
coming into her own. Nicole
is the protector in that dynamic. I mean, there's just no two ways around it. And also, you know, the other thing that's interesting to me about looking at Wynonna Earp, given that we were just talking about how it's so hard for shows to write the heroic female into a heteronormative romance kind of storyline, is I do think Wynonna Earp does that as well. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. And as we head into Thanksgiving time, I want to start by thanking my wife, Kelsey, who has not only listened to just about every episode of this podcast for 8 seasons now, but who also is the only reason I'm able to make time to record it every week. She takes the kids, gets them dinner, and gets them ready for bed, just so that Ellie and I can come on and yell about gay things into each other's faces for an hour. So here's a reminder to send some thanks to the people you're grateful for in your life, including yourself. I've been in therapy for a long time now, and one thing that's so important about therapy is how it teaches you to be more intentional. And being intentional about gratitude and how to show that to the people you appreciate is just one of the many benefits that I've gotten from therapy over the years. If you've been thinking of starting therapy, consider giving BetterHelp a try. I know how hard it can be to find time for regular therapy, and BetterHelp is designed to be flexible and convenient for your schedule. You can fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. If you want to start being more intentional about gratitude in your life, visit betterhelp.com/letshangout today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/letshangout.
Let's hang out.
You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Progressive loves to help people make smart choices. That's why they offer a tool called Auto Quote Explorer that allows you to compare your Progressive car insurance quote with rates from other companies. So you save time on the research and can enjoy savings when you choose the best rate for you. Give it a try after this episode at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy. For many businesses, the holiday season can be both an exciting and stressful time. With so many balls in the air, one thing you definitely want to know you can rely on is how you're selling your products. And with Shopify, you can rest easy knowing it's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. And when it comes to successful brands like Aloe, Allbirds, or Skims, an often overlooked secret is all the things that go on behind the scenes that make selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, if you take a peek behind that curtain, you'll see that Shopify is what makes it all possible. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, so that's more happy customers and way more sales going. It's true all the time, but especially this time of year, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use for Realm merch with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm. For many businesses, the holiday season can be both an exciting and stressful time. With so many balls in the air, one thing you definitely want to know you can rely on is how you're selling your products. And with Shopify, you can rest easy knowing it's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. And when it comes to successful brands like Aloe, Allbirds, or Skims, an often overlooked secret is all the things that go on behind the scenes that make selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, if you take a peek behind that curtain, you'll see that Shopify is what makes it all possible. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, so that's more happy customers and way more sales going. It's true all the time, but especially this time of year, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use for Realm merch with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
Well, what I think is interesting to me is it's so interesting to look at a show like that. And I get it. I get the idea of wanting to say, hey, Wynonna Earp is a show about an extremely flawed, heroic female lead.
Yes.
I get that. But I do also think that it's interesting how much about Wynonna's flaws open the doors for her hetero romances. Whereas Nicole Haught is an unflawed hero, and therefore she's gay. Right? Like, try to imagine Nicole Haught's character being interested in a man. You can't. You can't do it. Right? It just doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Because she's a DSA, and Wynonna is not a D.
Is not, yes. And I think that there's something really, I feel like we're so close to this like fundamental truth, negative truth, you know?
Fundamental truth about Dykes in Shining
Fundamental
Armor.
truth about the world, which is that like if you are a hero and
if you're
good,
perfect,
you're
gay.
gonna be gay. Which is that the gays are perfect. There it is. The gays are perfect. We've found it.
If we don't want to change a thing about you, you're gay. No, but also if you're a villain, you're gay. So the answer is we're all gay.
We're all gay. We were so close. We had it. It was
really
there and it slipped away from us.
There and
you
it
know?
just It just went away. But I mean, I think for Nicole Haught, it's like the devotion aspect is also super gay. Like, I don't know. There's something about like all of the characters that we've sort of talked about so far. There's something that's like very gay about being like singularly focused
on
a woman. Do you know what I mean though? Like, I'm not like
no, I have no idea, Ellie, why that would be.
That's not like
something
obvious,
that we might be into.
right? Like, and that's not to say like I'm like, that's a very like monogamous thing to say as well, but like, I don't know. There's something about like Dyke who's like, I'm so in love with this woman, I am gonna show her that I am the person who's gonna sweep her off her feet and like take her away and like be the person who like she never has to worry again because I'm here.
Yeah.
Like, there's something singularly gay about that type
it's
of
so
a queer
gay.
person.
It's also, I mean, it's so hard, especially for Waverly and Nicole. It's so hard to get away from the thing that I think is so, listen, gays, let's all be incredibly honest with ourselves right now. There is something so appealing about the whole storyline of being like, wow, you have had an absolute fucking dud of a boyfriend, and I'm gonna treat you right.
Yes.
And I am going to be cast in the light that character gets cast as the unkillable, wavering, just rock solid, steady. Yeah, I mean, of course that's appealing. That's fucking crack for us. What are you talking about?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
inject it straight into our veins.
You see it and you're like,
thank you.
You're like, yes,
yeah.
this is it.
And especially because there's the whole aspect of it where it's like, oh, and has Waverly questioning her sexuality and yeah, okay, fine, just fucking spoon feed us everything we've ever wanted. Why don't you?
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, but this also does bring me back to one of our first episodes ever about talking about straight girls, because like there is also then when we talk about this, there's like a fine line here,
yes,
where you are also creating a character and an archetype that is like, I'm better than your boyfriend, right? Like, but also like that's sort of it is a little dangerous. As much as like, I'm like, yeah, let's talk about it because we're gay and like, yeah, we're better. They're also like, if you turn yourself into this thing that you're not, that doesn't necessarily mean that this person who's been with the shitty boyfriend is going to be like, yeah, I'm gay. But if you act like that with a girl who's already gay, I know it's fucking great. But
when they do, it hits different.
It just hits different. It does. But like,
so
but that is such a thing that it, like, I mean, there's like a comedian who did a whole bit about it that was so funny, but I can't remember who they were, and I feel so bad. But like, they did a whole bit about how like, so I've been dating a woman who like has only dated men before me, and like the bar is so low.
Oh God, I know. Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about because I have also seen those clips, and I am blanking on the name as well.
Yeah, it's like almost like a Dyke In Shining Armor is like, I'm gonna be a quote unquote prince. Like, I'm gonna be like what a man should be, quote unquote, protector, but better.
But better.
And like that toes a line, like we talked about at the beginning, of a bit problematic. But also we eat that shit up, right? Because you're like,
well,
so this is just a heteronormative relationship, but a woman is in it instead.
And because what I think is interesting is that same dynamic of absolutely Nicole is the protector in that relationship, and also absolutely she gets saved by Waverly sometimes, because that can happen. That can happen in a gay pairing that is so hard to allow to happen in straight pairings, you know?
But I think that's the thing that
such a different dynamic.
Yes, that's the thing that needs to happen to make the Dyke In Shining Armor be less problematic.
Yeah.
There has to be like a back and forth in our media in particular. And then I feel like also
because otherwise it's too heteronormative.
Yes. Because
right?
otherwise it's like, okay, so are we just watching a gay relationship but you threw a woman as a stand-in for it. But like, I don't know. There's still...
Are there examples you can think of like that? That's a curious thing. Like, are there badly done Dyke in Shining Armors?
I don't know, because I love them so much.
You're like, not to me, bitches. They're all good.
No, I mean, probably.
There must be, right?
I mean, there definitely are, which I would just have to think about. I feel like there's got to be like some examples in the L word that are probably problematic. Let's be real.
Oh, well, Jesus. I mean, name a non-problematic
I know.
thing in the L word. Let's be real.
Like Helena Peabody.
I'm sorry.
No, like I'm saying problematic. Like I feel like she is like, I'm going to take care of you, Tina. You know what I mean? And you're like, you're freaking me the fuck out.
Helena Peabody gonna fight off the dangers of the world with stacks of cold hard cash.
But do you know, like that's what I'm saying. Like that's a person who I'm like, okay, you are like, she's like acting like a protector to someone who like doesn't need to be protected. That's what
Helena
I'm saying.
Peabody
like,
never met a danger she couldn't buy off.
But she's like overbearingly protective. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's like, that's what I think about. I don't know. I'll think about it.
Okay, if you have ideas, listeners, please
let
tweet
us
at us or
know.
email us or something. Who are your problematic Dykes in Shining Armor? Because there have to be some out there. Yeah,
There definitely
no
are.
way.
Well, because that's what I'm saying. Like when it turns to be, I think, overbearing or like completely belittling your partner, to be like your partner, you act like you are the protector because you put your partner in a position that's like you always have to be saved. That's codependent and not good.
I think that's a problematic approach. I also think there are times where I really think the Dyke in Shining Armor trope can start skirting a lot closer to the Shane archetype, right? Of the I know more than you and I can keep you safe from all the stuff that's out there, but in a kind of belittling kind of way, or where the Dyke in Shining Armor persona can start to skirt towards that predatory kind of vibe, right? Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a much slipperier slope than it could otherwise be, for sure.
I think when like your whole personality turns into that, then it can be. But I think like I think the reason why some of the people we're talking about and like the characters we're talking about fit into a space where I am like, oh, I love this, is because like all of the protection feels like it goes both ways, and like it's coming from a place of like genuine, just like, I love this person so much, I cannot let anything bad happen to them.
Okay, while we're talking about that dynamic, which I know you were so into in Debs, because I think this is also one of the more recent times that we talked about this on the podcast. Let's talk about School for Good and Evil.
I mean, first of all, she's so fucking gay. But
a
like,
literal sword, a literal suit of armor. Yeah, doing good.
I mean, I love this dynamic too, because same thing, like, this is flipping stuff on its head, right? We have quote unquote good and quote unquote evil, right? We have one who's good, one who's evil. And the evil one,
two who are gay. Okay.
Both who are gay.
Yeah.
The evil one saves the good one, literally puts herself in between her friend, quote unquote, her lover, and a dagger. And then afterwards, the other one freaking kills the person who hurt her friend. Like that, it's just Dyke in Shining Armor, like, to the max.
So compare and contrast for me School for Good and Evil to Debs. Let's do that.
All right, well, the only thing that sucks is School for Good and Evil isn't gay enough.
Oh,
that's
I
the
mean,
contrasting.
Come on.
But I do think
you're trying to tell me they're not going home and getting under those sheets at the end of that movie? Lies.
They definitely are. They're very similar. Except, I don't know, like, except I feel like Aggie's more gay, even though it's not gay enough.
Well, because I think it's interesting because Lucy Diamond, now that we're going back to that, Lucy she gets closer to that predatory lesbian trope.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And neither Aggie or Sophie ever do because
True.
They're ostensibly straight.
So also, like, is it better to
let's just take a minute to laugh at that.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're not.
So it gives them a very different dynamic, right? Because they have to make it clear enough to Amy that Lucy is interested in her, and so you lean heavily on that, like, I'm checking you out, I'm flirting, I'm leaning in for the kiss, like, and they don't have any of that between Sophie and Aggie,
It's so
right?
pure. It's so
Yeah.
pure.
It's a pure love.
I know, but I wish it was a little less pure. But that's all.
That's what fanfic is for, Ellie. That's what
That's what fanfic is for. Yeah, I mean, I do feel like they protect each other without wanting anything from the other, which is also like another thing that's just like so beautiful about that Dykes in Shining Armor trope when you do it in a way that's like pure.
Yeah.
I will save you, I will protect you, and that's it.
And also give him a sword. Give more lesbian
sword.
swords is what we're saying.
Give him a sword.
give them all the swords. Listen.
What other media representations do you want to talk about before we wrap up? Head to our Q&A.
I feel like we should talk a little bit about my favorite little lesbians in Fear Street, Sam and Dina. Because Dina, come on. Dina's a DSA.
DSA. Girl
That
is trying
girl.
to save her girl everywhere she goes.
Yes.
Like,
you want to talk about, I will let nothing in this world or the next harm you.
That's it.
That's Dina. That's Dina right there to a T. I will save you from all the murderous ghosts that there may be. I will bring you back to life by sheer force of will alone.
And we eat that shit up.
We do. She's a protector, man. She's a protector. Same for, listen, while we're going for my horror gaze, same for Jamie in Bly Manor, right?
She's like, we are in a haunted ass house and I will still save you from everything.
Mm-hmm. But then who saves who at the end, Ellie?
Oh, it's so rough.
Yeah.
She's like, that's, she'll do anything for her and then she like couldn't.
Do you need to just a little bit more?
It's so sad because she couldn't save her in the end.
So
Also,
what does it mean when you fail in protecting as a Dyke in Shining Armor?
Oh God.
Who do you become? What is your identity? Who even are you anymore?
I still think you're a Dyke in Shining Armor. Also, like, did she really fail?
Well, no. I mean,
you know,
but to her.
This is sort of random, but not.
Okay, hit me.
Because it's not a Dyke. But Leigh, have you watched The Last of Us?
I haven't. I've been keeping up on it. I cannot bring myself to watch it yet.
You have to.
I know.
Episode?
I'm aware of episode 3. I know everything that happened in episode 3. I've watched the clips.
I felt like I was watching the gay fucking Notebook. I was bawling my eyes out uncontrollably. But my point here is Bill and Frank are also the male equivalent of Dykes in Shining Armor. Like,
fair.
He has literally built an entire home to protect himself first, but then when his partner comes in, that moment where he literally says, I was never afraid until you were here, wrecked me. Like, that entire gay story.
Can't be afraid when you've got nothing to lose.
I know.
Till you do.
That entire gay story was just about two men protecting each other through the end of the world and falling in love in between it. Like, that was like, that really got me. So I just had to honorable mention that shit because that was probably the most beautiful gay love story I've ever seen in my entire life. And our entire show is about watching gay shit.
Yeah.
And I was not prepared for it. I was not. But yes, other Dykes. Also She-Ra, which we sort of talked about.
Yeah,
She-Ra
we mentioned.
is literally a giant sword lesbian.
A huge sword lesbian.
Your whole personality is saving the world. But I feel like She-Ra also has some problematic things about herself, which they dive into, right? Where like your entire self-worth doesn't have to be about protecting others. So like that's another like layer of the Dykes in Shining Armor where it's like, am I valuable if I don't protect other people? Right? So like I can't even start talking about that, but that's, I feel like, a whole other layer. So Leigh, what have we decided about our Dykes in Shining Armor? Let's recap.
Okay. I think the Dyke in Shining Armor trope is a protector, is extremely invested in protecting the person that they care about, more so than anything else, capable of being themselves saved in return. Is what else have we covered? I'm trying to remember it all.
I mean, we can talk like it can't skirt the line of moral ambiguity. Also, like 50-50 on whether it's a little too heteronormative. Gotta be
still a little
delicate,
split, right?
Delicate balance of the heteronormativity of the Dyke in Shining Armor.
Because
overall,
sometimes they are like I would say some of them still feel more heteronormative to me. Like Bound, especially, I would put up there on the relationship dynamic that feels too heteronormative for a gay couple.
Also, like at that time, I feel like they were just like lesbians must be one sort of manly woman who like this is the man in the relationship and this is the woman. Like like it felt like you needed to delineate
who wears the pants, ladies. Yeah, sure.
And it's like you don't have to delineate that anymore, I feel like. But yes, overall, I eat that shit up. Give me more Dykes in Shining Armor.
Give us all the Dykes in Shining Armor.
I'm here for
honestly. Keep them coming.
All right. Ready for our Q and Gay?
I'm so ready. Hit me.
Q and Gay.
Here we go. Question number 1. Who's your favorite Dyke in Shining Armor? A. Xena, B. Nicole Haught, C. Lucy Diamond, or D. Shira?
Oh, man. This is such a hard... This episode. I mean, it is an attack. I love Lucy Diamond. I really do. I feel like as far as specifically for the Dyke in Shining Armor trope, I have to go Haught.
Yep.
You gotta go
I feel like
Sheriff
Haught is the
quintessential,
definition.
Man. Yeah.
You look up Dykes in Shining Armor, her picture's there.
She is the template.
She is the template.
Okay, question 2, Ellie. Are you A, a Dyke in Shining Armor, or B, a Pillow Princess?
Good question.
You don't want to answer, do you?
It's gonna be a B for me.
You can lie to us.
It's gonna be a B for me, everyone. I'm sorry, but not in that way. I just wrote Pillow Princess because I thought it was funny, but I like to be taken care of. I'm sorry. I'm not a good savior.
I was gonna let you lie and get away with it, but
no, I can't lie. I can't lie to you, Leigh. You know too much. All right, question number 3.
I could have been making all the faces at you and nobody would have known.
Is there another option? It's really just that. That's it. Okay.
That's all we wrote in the question. Yeah, it's just those two.
Sort of I'll say switch, question mark. Okay. All right.
What is switch in this scenario? Page boy? Like what are we working with here?
Yeah. Switch / page boy.
What's our medieval metaphor to go with?
Yes, I like that. Page boy.
Okay, great.
But I think I'm still a princess and it's okay. All right, question number 3, Leigh. Does a DSA have to be morally good? A, yes, or B, no?
Listen, I feel like I came into this episode thinking yes, and I'm leaving like a firm no. Yeah, you won me over. You convinced me.
Did it.
Okay, question 4, Ellie. Do you think Dykes in Shining Armor are too heteronormative? Yes, no, or it depends?
I'm gonna go with it depends. I do feel like they lean a little hetero for me, but if you give me the right kind, I can vibe on the queerness of it.
Give you a Lucy Diamond and
give me a Lucy Diamond
good to go.
And it's okay, yeah.
Sure.
Question number 5. What would your weapon of choice be as a DSA? A, sword, B, gun, C, pipe, or D, candlestick?
Listen, if you're gonna go Dyke in Shining Armor, you go for the sword. You go
sword, lesbian,
full on
all the way.
You go for the sword. Have you seen the TikTok lumberjack lesbian who has a sword now? Have you seen this? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Is she just like chopping wood
With a sword.
Yeah,
I mean, she also chops a lot of wood with her axes.
Yeah.
I've seen her do it
with the axe. I don't think I've seen the sword.
Oh, she got a sword at one point. You'll have to look her up.
Great.
Yeah. Anyways,
We
the
love
answer is
it.
sword. You got to go for a sword.
The answer is sword. Remember, you can give us your own answers to this episode's Q&A questions on our Twitter at Let's Hang Out Pod.
Let me hear you say hip, 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 well, yeah.
We love hearing from you and building community, so we want to shout out some of our favorite things each episode. And we would like to say a huge thank you to everyone who's been replying to the comments on our School for Good and Evil Should Have Been Gay post, because that shit is getting wild.
A+ work, everyone.
And yeah, you're all so clever and you're really sticking it to all the people who are like, but they were twins. They're gay.
The straights are out for us, and it's just silly. It's silly.
It's so silly. Like, the entire point of our show is just to say people are gay. Like, it's a joke, everyone. But also, they're all gay. Sorry, Leigh.
We also want to shout out a user on Instagram who reached out to us to thank us for talking about coming out at your own pace and how not everybody is out all the time or to everyone in their lives immediately, and how everybody sort of needs their own timing and their own journey. And that's okay. So thank you to that user for reaching out to us. And yeah, take your time. Take your time, everyone. You do your journey how you need to. You do you. That's right.
You do you. As always, we want to thank our Lesbian Jesus patrons, Mark Foster,
Tanya Ferguson,
Sarah and Julia,
Alana Rosen,
Lizette Stye,
Adi Benitez,
Fiona W.,
and Sophia Phillips.
And our King Princess patrons, Amy and Ellen,
Leah Henley,
Andrea Doucette,
and Julia Gonzalez. Thank you all so much to you and to all of our patrons. We absolutely could not keep doing this podcast without all of your support.
Remember, you can also find us on all the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok at Let's Hang Out Pod.
You can email us at letshangoutpod@gmail.com.
Or you can check out our website at letshangoutpod.com.
Whatever app you use to listen to podcasts, make sure that you subscribe. That way you'll get new episodes as soon as they go up every week.
We're also posting videos on our YouTube channel, so make sure you subscribe at youtube.com/letshangoutpod to catch them.
Let's Hang Out is an independently produced show. It's hosted by us with audio production by Ellie. Our production assistant is Krista Murison, and Twitter shenanigans and various other things are done by me.
If you want to support the podcast, the easiest thing to do is to rate and review us on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. We love hearing what you have to say.
If you want to join our Patreon, you get access to our Discord chat, to our Les Essentials watch parties, you get access to ad-free episodes, and our Patreon bonus episodes, all sorts of other good stuff. You can find that at bit.ly/lespatreon.
If you want to get some Let's Hang Out merch, it is the perfect time to get some new Pride gear at bit.ly/lesshop.
And remember, we also have a queer production company making queer podcast musicals with guaranteed happy endings that you can find everywhere at Dollar Bean Prod.
Or at our website, dollarbeanproductions.com.
You can check out the episodes of our first show, The Flame, on any podcasting app.
And we are in the middle of recording for our new musical, Journey to the Heart. We have had some really, really fun recording sessions lately. So yes, if you want to help support us in making more of those musicals like Journey to the Heart, you can join our Patreon at bit.ly/dollarbeanpatreon.
If you want to follow us individually, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at LSH Foster.
And you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Ellie Brigida. With that, I'm Ellie.
And I'm Leigh. And let's hang out again soon.
Let's hang out.
Ladies and gentlemen.
What are you doing?
What do you mean?
Just keep it simple.
I'm making the promo.
Just keep it simple. Just say, hey, we're the Brav Bros. Two guys that talk about Bravo.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're the Brav Bros.
No.
Oh.
Dude, stop with the voice. Just keep it simple.
I've seen promos on TV, dude. This is how you get the fans engaged. This is how you get listeners. We're trying to get listeners here. If we just say, oh, we're two dudes that talk about Bravo, people are going to get tired of it already. We need some oomph.
All right, then fine. Let's try to do it with your voice.
Brav Bros.
Good job.